Hello and welcome back to the Oasis Podcast. Today we are going to be ranking every official music video released by Oasis from my least favourite to my favourite. Just to clarify, this is the videos released in the life of the band, so we aren't including the various lyric videos that have been released on YouTube in recent years. My criteria for these is really down to whether they're enjoyable. Are they well made? Do they accentuate and improve aspects of the song? Or do they detract from it? Now, the Oasis guys famously hate making videos. Check out Noel's hilarious commentary track on the Time Flies DVD, where he absolutely eviscerates the vast majority of them. That said, even though they hated them, there are quite a few on here that I would argue have reached iconic status. On the flip side, there are some that are not particularly great, and that's where we start. In last place, number 37, is Don't Go Away. Now, this was a really tough one because Don't Go Away is one of my absolute favourite Oasis songs. So just being coupled with an absolutely incredible song should give the video a boost. But for me, it makes it worse, as it's so jarring for a video this bad being paired with such a great song. The song is so rich in story and images that the opportunity was there to do so much. What we actually get is a poorly put together mishmash of different ideas and images, seemingly put together entirely at random, whether that be a bunch of animated red peppers, a massive food whisk, or multiple teeny Liams floating holding umbrellas. I mean, it almost feels like a joke, and the band clearly aren't into it. The CG compositing is truly dreadful, with the guys being placed at different sizes. I mean, it's almost a piss take. You got Liam sitting at a desk writing. Well, we know he didn't write the song. The only things I would say work well is I appreciate the fact that the band actually turned up and are there. Liam looking cool, obviously. Plus, I appreciate the little nod to the Be Here Now cover. Other than that, all I can say is, please do go away. Now this one might surprise you, but at 36 I have Some Might Say. The reason for this is that they didn't actually shoot a video for Some Might Say. The band was supposed to, but Liam never showed up. Hence what was quickly rushed together was a mashup of their previous videos, mainly Cigarettes and Alcohol, but also Supersonic the US version, Rock and Roll Star, and a few brief flashes of Liam's face from Whatever. I haven't interviewed him, but I have had some messages with the director Mark Sazy, who actually directed many of the early Oasis videos, including Cigarettes and Alcohol, and he was absolutely furious about them taking his video and splicing it up for something completely different without his permission. But what about the actual video? Well, I mean, it works, but only really because they've taken footage from other videos that work. So I suppose you do have to give them credit for the editing and making the most out of a bad situation, but still the fact it was purely recycled material means it does have to be very low down here on the list. Okay, with those two out of the way, we actually now move into videos that are actually pretty enjoyable. At 35 I have Songbird, directed by Dick Carruthers. The main reason this is so low down is it just feels very basic. We get Liam in this rather silly coat with a big fluffy collar, strutting around a park, and then sitting on a tree and playing Songbird. And that's it. And that is it. I suppose you could argue that the song is a very basic song, and so the video simply captures that. And having watched it over the years, I've never had a problem with it. But watching it again now, thinking about it, it is a bit laughable. Liam lolloping about with his sideburns flapping around as mums push prams and ducks waddle around in the background. There is one great moment right at the end where a dog chases Liam. I think also the parody put together by Nico Tatarovitz, who I interviewed on the Oasis podcast, certainly helped point out the silliness of it, and seeing that I've never really got over it, to be honest. So yes, at 35 I have Songbird.
I kid you, right? He's written this song called Nicole, right? And it kills me to say it, right? But it is fucking mega, right? And that is it. It's not about nothing, man, you know what I mean? People get given it's about, like, you know, my wife or whatever, right? But I'm not one of these pansy boys sitting around writing tunes about my wife, you know what I mean? It's just a song about me having it with fucking birds, you know what I mean? Like, called Nicole. Next question.
Oh, I really love you, Nicole. Not Appleton. You used to be in an all-girl band. It wasn't all saints.
Not hard, is it, writing songs? It's like making a sandwich with your face, isn't it? Bit of bacon, you know what I mean? Have a bit of cuttlefish, bit of cress, yellow pickle, brown pickle, it don't matter. Because I am the bollocks at making sandwiches.
Brilliant stuff. I'll link the full sketch that Nico did below, but check that out. Right, next at 34 we have Stop Crying Your Heart Out, directed by Wiz, who we're going to hear from a few times. My main issue here is this video is just really boring. We have the band in their most designer outfit phase, with Liam with his very long hair, and the band playing while looking extremely bored. And this is then interspersed with a woman wandering around somewhere in America, sitting in cars, looking a bit sad, and then looking at blank billboards, and then the blank billboards start to show clouds randomly. Then we see she's got a can of petrol that she's been spilling, teasing the fact that we might get a huge explosion, or maybe she's poured it on herself and she's going to set herself on fire. As we get to the end, she finally lights the match in slow motion, and then the video ends on a cliffhanger. Noel talked about this, and I know that really annoyed him. He really didn't like this video either, and it really annoys me quite a bit. Positives I would say would be the setup of the guys playing. I like the orangey tones and the overall way they're laid out. Again, playing keys is a nice touch. Overall though, a very boring video which doesn't really capture the imagination and ultimately doesn't pay off if you do manage to stick with it all the way to the end. '33 we have Let There Be Love. This is pulled from the Lord Don't Slow Me Down film, which has some great footage, especially a lot of the backstage shenanigans director Bailey Walsh managed to capture, and we do get to see that in Lord Don't Slow Me Down, which we'll talk about later. This video, however, sticks very rigidly to just concert footage, all of which is in black and white and super slow motion. Now, I can see how the slow motion can look epic, but in this occasion, especially paired with a song that is in itself very slow and plodding, the whole thing is just a bit dull and uninspired. On the positive, I do enjoy some of the crowd shots, but overall a very boring video and a missed opportunity when you think of the footage that they did have. Number 32, and we have the first appearance of a video from Oasis Podcast guest Nick Egan. So we have a bit of insight into this video from there. Similar to the previous two, this is a bit of a slow, plodding style song, and we get a video of the guys looking extremely bored, both in the performance scenes and then playing themselves in the tricky roles of sitting around looking bored in a hotel. Halfway through we get a shift where we see that Noel is staring into various windows across the way, including couples having a domestic. We then get someone with a football turn up and start to have a party with some models. Now this was a reference to George Best, hence the title of the song, as there was a famous story of a bellboy coming into George Best's hotel room as he's there with bottles of champagne and two gorgeous models, and the bellboy asks him, "Mr. Best, where did it all go wrong?" Now there are things about this video that I really like, such as the colour palette with the rich blues. It ties in with the general Standing on the Shoulder of Giants album, but overall it lacks energy and is a bit of a slog to get through. And the whole George Best idea, it kind of feels a bit tacked on and not particularly clear, even though they are very much on the nose with him holding a football. Next up at 31 we have Wiz back again with another female protagonist. This time we have footage of a female member of the royal family, played by Peaky Blinders actress Natasha O'Keeffe. Intercut between her official royal duties, we have her as a party animal staggering around, hungover. Meanwhile, the Oasis boys, including Zach, are at an official function wearing black suits which is always weird to see them in suits as they very rarely wear them. But anyway, the whole thing is really well shot as we splice between the two aspects of her life, and then we reach the finale with her walking down the line to shake hands with the assorted guests, and then she gets to the Oasis guys who refuse to shake her hand. We see her head out onto the balcony, and you can see the actual Prince Charles, well now King Charles, but he's, well, whatever, and he stood there. Personally, while I appreciate this is a good idea and it's well put together, I do find it a little bit one note and not particularly engaging. And then the way they dismiss her at the end, while I appreciate and agree with the anti-monarchist sentiment, I just feel it's a bit mean and dare I say a bit misogynist. Interestingly, on the Noel Gallagher commentary track, he actually confirmed that he would have no problem shaking a royal's hand in real life. So there you go. Number 31, Falling Down. At 30 we have I'm Out of Time. Similar to Songbird, we have Liam here. He's by himself, he's wandering around and singing and sitting next to a tree. The big difference here to Songbird is that this is far more artistically done, with slow motion, shots of nature, including butterflies, owls and a very weird looking fox. Liam looks cool here, rocking a black hat like a dapper gunslinger. It all gets a little bit strange as he lies down and listens to the John Lennon quote played on a record player. The whole thing is very impressionistic, with rich black and white photography and out of proportion scenery, giving the whole thing a quirky and dreamlike quality. That said, it is a bit dull, and I'm not sure how it really works with either the theme or the feel of the song. For his part, Liam says on the Time Flies commentary he was happy with how he looked, but the rest of it was a bit bollocks and he didn't really approve. I'm kind of with you. At 29 we have the official video for Acquiesce, although I typically refer to this as the Japanese one. This was released to promote Stop the Clocks in 2006, and it weirdly doesn't feature Oasis at all. Although that does make sense, would they really be that bothered to come and do this video? But what we've got here is an Oasis tribute band in Japan. Now I think this is really well shot, and it's great to have an alternative take on Oasis fandom. So many of the videos have been based just in England or some of them in America, whereas here we get to go abroad, we get to see what's happening in another part of the world, Tokyo. And Tokyo is shot brilliantly. I really like the fact that it starts off with the karaoke bar and it ends with the guy playing Liam sitting on the tube with headphones on. So what's happening here? Is he just daydreaming about being Liam? Don't know, but anyway, ultimately the reason this is quite low down is while it is a really well executed and interesting idea, overall, let's be honest, it is just a straightforward video of a tribute band playing, which isn't really that interesting. I'd rather have the real thing. At 28 I'm going with Roll With It. Similar to the previous video, it's a very straightforward band performance, although this time it is actually the band at least and not a tribute band. I always think of Roll With It as a summer song, and here seeing Liam and Noel both wearing white shirts, it's nice to see they've coordinated their summer wardrobes. It's a show with a lot of energy, with strobe lights and a few nice moments of the guys playing. This does really capture the feel of that magic summer of 1995, but ultimately it is just a straightforward performance video, and it isn't as good as some of the other performance videos coming up, especially from around Definitely Maybe. Hence I've got it all the way down here at number 28. At 27, and Wiz is back again, this time for the Hindu Times. We're in stark black and white again. These guys just love their black and white, don't they? And it's pretty much just a performance video, but the guys in this instance are in a rehearsal space. There are flourishes of weirdness, such as cardboard cutouts with guns and Liam swigging some milk, and then we see an x-ray of the milk going down into his gullet, which is unpleasant. Slogans are shown such as exist and pills or bombs. I don't necessarily think any of it means anything. I guess it all just adds to the ambience. My favourite element is near the end of the video, where the guys are stood around playing and Liam and Noel even share a mic, which is great to see. It has that real Beatles vibe. I love it. It was exciting when this came out in 2002, as Oasis were back with an upbeat tune, whereas their last few videos had all been very slow and plodding. So this was a great return to form. Really enjoyed it, but ultimately it's not a great video, so hence it is here at number 27. Now at 26 we have a very interesting one, and one you may have never seen before. This is She Is Love. Now this was shot and was supposed to be released alongside Little by Little, as it was a double A-side single, so there was going to be 2 videos. But ultimately the video wasn't released, for reasons unknown as at time of writing. Now this is a very gentle mix of live action with psychedelic butterflies, flowers, ships and stars come to life. This gives a lovely playful, dreamlike quality that fits the sentiment of the song beautifully. It's a very feminine and gentle video, which doesn't really fit with what we'd expect from Oasis. Maybe that's why it was never released. Either way, I think it's a gorgeously put together piece of work, and it is a shame it was never released. There are similarities, I think, to the Chemical Brothers' Let Forever Be video, and compared to that it is a bit basic. But to be fair, Let Forever Be is directed by the absolute genius Michel Gondry, and it is an absolute masterpiece. So I'm so pleased that this is available on YouTube, that we can actually see it. Do check out the full thing if you get a chance. She Is Love, 26. And just ahead of She Is Love, I have the other side of the double A side, Little by Little. Robbie Carlyle famously stars, and it's a bizarre idea as he wanders around, starting off as a tiny little fella, and gradually by the end of the video he is toweringly tall. Meanwhile, Noel is here, he's sitting on a step playing the song. Overall it's fun and engaging as you follow this strange little narrative, but ultimately it feels a little bit shallow and one note. The one really great moment that elevates the video is when Liam, resplendent in a shining white jacket, helps the train-spotting actor up. The only thing I thought would have made it a little bit better was if that had been the catalyst for him starting to grow. I think we'd all love to meet Liam, and I think if you did get to meet Liam, you do end up feeling 10 feet tall, so I think that does make sense. But in this instance, he's already growing before he gets the helping hand from Liam, so I don't quite know where that fits, but anyway. Overall, I did think it was an enjoyable video, but just a little bit bizarre. At 24 we have Stand By Me. Now this is one of the boldest choices of any of the Oasis videos, and Noel hilariously rips the piss out of this on the commentary. So it's a tricky one for me, because when I first saw this I thought it was amazing, but over the years, I don't know, it doesn't quite hold up as well as some of the other ones. Basically what you see here is a scenario playing out where it seems like everyone is being completely shit to each other, but then as the video carries on it becomes clear that actually everyone is trying to help each other, as a runaway motorcyclist careers through a shopping centre. There are a lot of nice little Easter eggs in there. The 2 twins are also in the Guy Ritchie film Snatch, and little nods to Radio Supernova and the Be Here Now release date and things like that are really good fun. It's all really well shot. I think the colours are really vibrant, and on first watch you do really get that moment as you figure it out. But as with most things built around twists, once you've seen it for the first time, you've kind of got the joke. It doesn't really hold up well on repeated viewing, so I've got it here at number 24. At 23 we have Go Let It Out, and another one that you can hear discussed in my interview with director Nick Egan. It was interesting to hear about the initial concept from Nick and how that all came to fruition. And as Noel says in the commentary, the bandstand structure the band are playing on was supposed to resemble a futuristic spaceship lifting off. Instead, it just looks like a bit of old scaffolding with some lights. The video gets bonus points for the novelty of seeing Noel play bass and Liam play acoustic, and it's great to see Gem make his first appearance. We have a scene on a bus where it all goes a little bit psychedelic in line with the Magical Mystery Tour, but not too much. It always kind of holds it back to more realistic shooting style. Overall, it's a decent performance video with some nice psychedelic touches, but the whole thing does feel a little bit lacking in the execution. At 22 we have The Shock of the Lightning. Designed by Julian's House and Gibbs to tie into the Dig Out Your Soul artwork, this is a mesmerising mash of different colours and art styles all coming together. We have some footage of the guys playing, but buried under heavy effects so that you can't even really make them out. The first shot is little homage to the Rolling Stones Hot Rocks compilation album, and overall it's a fun, psychedelic viewing experience with a lot of energy, Monty Python, Terry Gilliam cutout style, but beyond that it's a little bit throwaway and not one I tend to go back to very often. At 21 I've got Sunday Morning Call, another one from director Nick Egan. This one got heavily slated by Noel on the DVD commentary, where he spends most of the time talking about the Mark II Jag he owns. However, I really actually like this video and feel it's one that adds to the song rather than detracts from it. The whole thing is a homage to the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is one of my absolutely favourite films. From the style of the nurses' uniforms to the imaginary football match, my favourite moments are Noel doing a wanker sign and a clearly not playing Liam bashing at a piano. This one does get unfairly criticised, I think, and I suppose the homage is a bit on the nose, but it's one I always really enjoy and I'm always more than happy to revisit. Well, that'll do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. That was part 1. Join us again for part 2, where we will be delving into the top 20 of the Oasis videos. What do you think is going to be number 1? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.